The antique grandfather clock in the foyer chimed 6, its heavy, melodic toll slicing through the suffocating perfection of the Caldwell Christmas dinner. Here in Stratton, in my mother's flawlessly curated dining room, every object was placed with military precision, from the gleaming silverware to the holly sprigs on the mantel. Evelyn Caldwell, my mother, sat at the head of the table, a queen surveying her immaculate kingdom. Her posture was perfect, her silver blonde hair coiled in a flawless chignon. Her eyes, the color of winter ice, scanned the table. "Dominic, your carving is 3 millimeters too thick," she murmured, and my father, Dominic Caldwell, flinched, his hand momentarily freezing over the golden brown turkey. "Of course, dear. My apologies," he muttered, his focus narrowing on the bird as if it were a life-saving surgical procedure. Beside me, my boyfriend Elias shifted, his knee bouncing under the table. He'd worn his best wool sweater, but I'd seen Mother's dismissive glance when we arrived. He wasn't Caldwell material. He was a photographer, a man who worked with his hands, a man who saw beauty in the imperfect. In this house, that was a cardinal sin. My sister Charlotte sat opposite us, the golden child, a perfect mirror of our mother. Her posture was impeccable, her smile bright and meaningless. Her new engagement ring, a diamond the size of a small iceberg, flashed blindingly every time she reached for her crystal water goblet. "Marshall is just devastated he couldn't be here," Charlotte said, her voice tinkling like wind chimes. "He's closing a massive merger. The partners at the firm say they've never seen anything like it." "Of course they haven't," Evelyn said, her smile thin but pleased. "He's a Harvard man. Quality always shows, Charlotte. You've chosen well." Her gaze slid to me, and the implication hung in the air, thick and toxic. I, with my journalist's salary and my photographer boyfriend, had not. I kept my expression neutral, focusing on the way the candlelight fractured in my water glass. Just get through the dessert. Just survive. "Elias," Evelyn said, her voice suddenly sweet, "I understand you've been dragging Miranda to various rustic locations for your photographs. How charming." Elias met her gaze squarely, his own warm and steady. "I've been on assignment, Evelyn, and Miranda's been working on an incredible investigative series. She's a brilliant journalist." I tensed, recognizing the pride in his voice. It was a language this family didn't speak. "An investigative series?" Evelyn repeated, taking a delicate sip of wine. "Oh, you mean those little articles about the town council budget? How quaint." "Actually," Elias said, his grip tightening on my hand under the table, "it's more than that. We have some news." The room went utterly silent. Even the clinking of my father's carving knife stopped. "News?" Evelyn's left eyebrow arched, a perfectly calibrated signal of her displeasure. I hadn't planned to do this here. I wanted to tell them in a controlled environment, perhaps a public place where a scene was impossible. But Elias, in his wonderful, straightforward honesty, couldn't contain his pride in me. "Go on, Miranda," Elias urged, smiling at me. I took a breath. "I've been offered a new position. I've been promoted to features editor at the Herald-Dispatch." My father looked up, a flicker of genuine pleasure in his eyes. "The Herald-Dispatch? Miranda, that's a major paper." "It is," I said, a small thrill cutting through my dread. "It's a huge opportunity. I'll be running my own team, developing long-form investigative pieces." "That's wonderful, honey," Dominic started, but Evelyn cut him off with a look. "The Herald-Dispatch?" Evelyn's voice was dangerously quiet. "Where is that paper located?" "It's in Providence, Mom." The name landed on the table like a grenade. Providence. Rhode Island, a different state, hours away. Charlotte's perfect smile faltered. "Providence? But that's so far." "It's where the job is," I said, my voice firmer now. Evelyn placed her knife and fork on her plate with a quiet, deliberate click. The sound was louder than a gunshot. "No," she said. I blinked. "No? What do you mean, no?" "I mean, you will not be taking it." Her voice was flat, devoid of all warmth. "This is newspaper nonsense, Miranda. It's a phase. You are 31 years old. It's time to stop playing at being a writer and do something respectable." "Respectable?" Elias interjected, his voice tight. "She's an award-winning journalist. She just exposed a corporate fraud scheme that—" "You will be silent," Evelyn snapped, not even looking at him. Her icy gaze was locked on me. "I will not have you, a Caldwell, moving to some gritty city to chase stories for pennies. You will call them tomorrow and decline." A strange, cold clarity washed over me. All the years of bending, of shrinking, of apologizing for my ambitions, they all coalesced into this single, sharp moment. "I'm not declining it, Mom," I said. "I've already accepted. I start in 4 weeks." My father's face went pale. "Miranda, perhaps we should discuss this," he stammered, looking helplessly at Evelyn. "There is nothing to discuss," Evelyn said. She pushed her chair back and stood, the immaculate hostess, the benevolent dictator. "You have been led astray by influences." She cast a venomous look at Elias. "You have forgotten your duty to this family." My duty? My own voice was rising, a tremor of long-suppressed rage shaking it. My duty to what? To sit here and be a perfect accessory like Charlotte? To marry some banker and pop out perfect grandchildren for you? That would be preferable, Evelyn hissed, to you embarrassing us with this hobby. It's not a hobby, it's my career, it's my life. Your life, Evelyn said, is what I gave you, and I can take it away. If you walk out that door, if you choose this nonsense in Providence over your family, then you are no longer a Caldwell. You are no longer my daughter. The grandfather clock ticked, loud and heavy in the sudden, crushing silence. "Evelyn," my father whispered, his face ashen, "don't say that." "I mean it, Dominic, every word." She looked back at me, her face a mask of cold fury. "Don't come back. If you leave this house tonight, you are dead to me." The words hung in the air. This was it, the final move, the checkmate she had held in reserve my entire life. I looked at my father, who was staring fixedly at his plate, his silence a complete and total abdication. I looked at Charlotte, who was examining her perfect fingernails, already siding with power as she always did. Then I looked at Elias, who was watching me, his expression not fearful but steady. He wasn't telling me what to do. He was just there, waiting for me. Slowly, I placed my heavy linen napkin on the table. "Then I guess this is goodbye," I said. My voice didn't even shake. "Don't be dramatic, Miranda," Evelyn sneered. "You'll be back in a month when you can't pay your rent." I stood up. My chair scraped against the polished hardwood floor. "Miranda, wait," Elias said, standing with me. I walked out of the dining room. I didn't run. I walked past the perfectly decorated tree, past the ancestral portraits in the hall. I heard Elias's footsteps right behind me. I pulled my coat from the closet. I didn't grab his. He got his own. When I opened the heavy front door, the blast of cold Vermont air felt like a baptism. It stung my face and lungs, sharp and clean and real. "Miranda!" my father called out, his voice weak and distant. I stepped out onto the porch and didn't look back. Elias was right beside me. He didn't say a word, just opened the car door for me. As we pulled out of the long, snow-lined driveway, I looked back at the house. It was lit up like a postcard, a perfect image of holiday warmth, a perfect, beautiful lie. "Are you okay?" Elias asked, his hand finding mine in the darkness of the car. I stared straight ahead at the road, at the falling snow, illuminated by the headlights. "I am now," I said. "Drive. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you." The week after Christmas was a blur of righteous anger and hollow, echoing numbness. My Brattleboro apartment, once my sanctuary, now felt like a temporary holding cell. Elias had been a rock, making coffee, letting me rage, letting me sit in silence. I just I can't believe she did it, I said, pacing my living room for what felt like the 100th time. I can, Elias said quietly from the sofa. I've seen how she looks at you, like something she owns. His words sent a chill through me. He was right. I need to understand, I whispered. I need to see it. See what, Miranda? All of it. I went to my closet and hauled out 3 heavy storage boxes. They were filled with my past: old journals, school report cards, college acceptance letters, photo albums, my entire life, curated and packed away. What are you doing? Elias asked. An investigation, I said, my voice grim. My own. I dumped the first box onto the carpet. Journals bound in cheap leatherette and faded cloth spilled out. I opened the first one, age 16. I read the entry aloud, my voice shaking. March 14th. Quit the debate team today. Mom said my argument style was shrill and unbecoming, and that I was embarrassing the family. I hate it. I love debate. I flipped a few pages. April 2nd. Mom told Aunt Cynthia I quit debate because I couldn't handle the pressure and wanted to focus on more feminine pursuits. She didn't just disapprove, Elias said, his voice hard. She sabotaged you and then rewrote the story. She did it with everything. I grabbed another journal. College. I wanted journalism. She insisted on pre-law. She said writers were perpetual children who couldn't contribute to society. When I switched my major anyway, she cut me off. She withdrew my tuition support. How did you finish? My dad, I said, a wave of shame washing over me. He secretly deposited money into my account. He told me never to tell her. Even his one act of rebellion was a secret. It was enabling her. I dug deeper into the boxes. Report cards, all straight A's, theater programs, art awards, and a small forgotten journalism award from high school. I remembered being so proud of it. I'd come home beaming. Evelyn had looked at it, sniffed, and said, "Well, it's not a national merit scholarship, is it?" I'd found it in a drawer a week later. "She's been doing this my whole life," I whispered, the weight of it crushing me. Every time I had a passion, she crushed it. Every time I had a friend she didn't like, she'd find a way to end it. My engagement to Michael, she called him ambitious as a substitute teacher until I couldn't even look at him without feeling ashamed. "She's a bully, Miranda," Elias said, his hand on my back. A systematic one. "It's more than that." My hands were sorting through a moldering file of old college applications and financial aid forms. "It's calculated." And then I found it. It wasn't a journal. It was a thick manila folder tucked at the very bottom of the last box. My name was written on the tab in my father's neat, sloping handwriting. I opened it. Inside were not my applications, but copies of letters. My heart hammered against my ribs. "What is it?" Elias asked, leaning in. I couldn't speak. I pulled out a letter. It was on university letterhead, addressed to my mother. From the study abroad office of my alma mater. I read it, my vision blurring. "Dear Mrs. Caldwell, thank you for your discreet inquiry regarding Miranda's application for the International Journalism Scholarship." I pulled out another letter. This one was a carbon copy, from Evelyn. "While we fully support Miranda's ambition," I read aloud, my voice dripping with venom, "we are concerned her emotional maturity is not yet at a level to handle the pressures of an international placement." I kept reading. It was all there. A generous, unrelated donation to the Arts in Residence program, a private family concern about my fragility, and then the final letter from the dean to me. "We regret to inform you that, despite your strong academic record, the scholarship committee has decided to award the position to a candidate they feel is a better fit." I remembered that day. I had cried for a week. I'd believed I wasn't good enough, that I had failed. "She didn't just disapprove," I whispered, the letters shaking in my hand. "She didn't just undermine me. She actively, secretly destroyed my chances. She torpedoed my scholarship." Randa. Elias's voice was filled with a cold fury I'd never heard from him. "This is it," I said, my voice low and dangerous. "This is the proof. All these years, it was just my word, my feelings against her concern. But this is a smoking gun." I stared at the letters, at the university letterhead, at my mother's elegant, damning signature. "This changes everything," I said. "This isn't just a box of bad memories. This is evidence." I carefully placed the folder back in the box, my hands precise, steady. The numb shock was gone. The grief was gone. In their place was a cold, hard clarity, the clarity of a journalist who had just found the key document in an investigation. "She thought she was burying my past," I said to Elias. "She just handed me the weapon I need for my future." The following Tuesday, I sat staring at my laptop screen. Elias had found her name through a colleague, Dr. Knight, a family trauma specialist based in Brattleboro who did remote sessions. A woman with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a simple clip appeared on my screen. "Miranda? I'm Dr. Knight. Thank you for reaching out." "Thank you for seeing me so quickly," I said, my voice sounding small. "I don't really know where to start." "Why don't you start with Christmas?" she suggested, her voice calm and grounding. So I told her. I told her about the dinner, the promotion, the ultimatum. I told her about the years of quiet sabotage, the constant comparisons to Charlotte, the feeling of never ever being good enough. And then, my voice hardening, I told her about the folder. I held the letters up to the camera. "She didn't just discourage me, doctor. She actively intervened. She destroyed a scholarship opportunity behind my back." Dr. Knight was silent for a long moment, her expression thoughtful. "Miranda, what you're describing are classic patterns of a narcissistic parent." The word narcissist hung in the air. I'd read articles, but hearing it from a professional made it concrete. "She can't be... she's my mother." "Narcissistic personality disorder is complex," Dr. Knight said gently, "but the behaviors you've laid out are textbook. The obsession with appearances, the need for absolute control, the golden child and scapegoat dynamic with you and your sister, and the inability to see you as a separate, autonomous person." "She sees me as an extension of herself," I whispered, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. "My successes are only valid if she approves of them. My choices are only valid if they reflect her." "Exactly. And when you asserted your independence by taking the job in Providence, you didn't just disobey her. You threatened her entire sense of self. Her control is her identity. When she lost it, she resorted to the ultimate tool, banishment." "The ultimatum," I said. "You're dead to me." "It's the last resort of a manipulator who has lost all other forms of leverage," Dr. Knight said. "But what I'm more interested in is your father and your sister. My dad, he just sits there. He enables her. He always has. And Charlotte, she's the golden child. She does everything Mom wants. She's the good daughter." "This is a system, Miranda," Dr. Knight explained. "Your mother is the architect, but your father is the enforcer through his passivity, and your sister is the beneficiary. You are the only one who has ever tried to break the system. That makes you the problem. It makes you dangerous to their stability." "So what do I do?" I felt a surge of desperation. "She's already lost. I'm leaving. I'm taking the job." "Leaving is the first step. That's the physical boundary. The next part is the hard part, the psychological boundaries. She will not let this go, Miranda. Her behavior at dinner was an extinction burst. It was a desperate, panicked attempt to regain control. When it failed, she will not simply give up. She will escalate." A cold dread crept up my spine. Escalate how? Guilt, manipulation, flying monkeys. That's people she sends to do her bidding. Financial threats, smear campaigns. "She will try to poison your new life before it even begins." She She wouldn't do that. She sabotaged your scholarship, Dr. Knight reminded me, her voice firm but kind. She told your family you quit the debate team because you couldn't handle it. She's already a master of the smear campaign. You need to be prepared. We spent the next hour talking about strategies, about gray rocking, making myself as boring and unreactive as a gray rock, about information diets, giving her zero personal information, about setting firm, clear boundaries with consequences. This folder, I said, tapping the manila folder on my desk. This is my leverage, right? If she tries anything, I can expose this. It's certainly a powerful piece of evidence, Dr. Knight agreed. But be careful. A cornered narcissist is incredibly dangerous. They don't fight fair. They aim to annihilate. By the time we ended the call, my head was spinning, but a new steely resolve had settled in my chest. I wasn't a bad daughter. I wasn't dramatic or unstable. I was a survivor, and I was finally learning how to fight back. The call came 3 days later. I was in my kitchen labeling moving boxes when my phone lit up with her name, Evelyn. I'd changed it from Mom. My first instinct was to ignore it. My heart hammered. My palms grew damp. You don't have to answer, Dr. Knight's voice echoed in my head. But if you do, remember the strategy. Gray rock. Information diet. I took a deep breath and swiped to answer. I put it on speaker. Hello, I said, my voice even. Miranda? Oh, darling, thank goodness. Her voice was thick with a syrupy, fake concern that made my skin crawl. I've been worried sick. You just vanished. I continued taping a box. I didn't vanish, Evelyn. I went home. A beat of silence. My use of her first name had landed. Elias, she said, her voice hardening instantly. This is him. He's twisting your mind, making you do this. Elias has been nothing but supportive. This was my decision. What decision, darling? The fake sweetness was back. That little tantrum at dinner? We've all forgotten it. Your father and I, we were shocked. This Providence idea, it's just so beneath you. The Providence idea is a major career promotion. I'm leaving on the 15th. You are not, she snapped. The mask was slipping. I forbid it. Miranda, you are making the biggest mistake of your life. You're throwing away your family, your future, your inheritance. I stopped taping. There it was. Tactic number 2, financial threats. My future is in Providence, I said calmly. My inheritance is your business. It's our business. Everything your father and I have built, we built for you and Charlotte. The Stratton estate, the trust. Do you think you can just walk away from that? Do you think that photographer can provide for you? I can provide for myself, Evelyn. That's the entire point of my career. A long, hissing sigh came through the phone. This was tactic 3, the martyr. I don't know what I did to deserve this. I have given you everything. A perfect home, the best schools. I have protected you. I have guided you. And this is how you repay me. With this betrayal. Is that what you call it? Betrayal? What would you call this? I picked up the manila folder. My hand was shaking, but not with fear, with rage. I found the letters, Evelyn, the ones between you and the university. The silence on the other end of the line was absolute. It was so total I thought she might have hung up. I don't know what you're talking about, she finally said, her voice small and tight. You know exactly what I'm talking about. My scholarship, my journalism scholarship. You told me I wasn't qualified. You told me I wasn't a good fit. But you're the one who poisoned the well. You're the one who wrote letters. You're the one who made a generous donation. You sabotaged me. I was protecting you, she shrieked, all pretense of calm gone. You were fragile. You weren't ready. That international placement would have broken you. I did what any loving mother would do. A loving mother doesn't lie, I shot back. A loving mother doesn't destroy her daughter's dreams to keep her in a cage. You weren't protecting me. You were controlling me, and now I have the proof. Another thick, heavy silence. I could hear her breathing, sharp and ragged. You are a foolish, ungrateful girl, she whispered, her voice dripping with venom. You have no idea what you're doing. You think that folder means anything? You think anyone will believe you over me? You're ruining your life. No, I said, taping the box shut with a final, decisive rip. I'm finally starting it. I have to go, Evelyn. I'm busy packing. If you hang up this phone, Miranda, my decision is final. It's not up for discussion. Goodbye. I ended the call. My hands were shaking. I sank onto a kitchen chair, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I had done it. I had faced her. I had called her on her biggest lie, and I hadn't backed down. The exhilaration was so potent it made me dizzy. When Elias came home an hour later, he found me sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by boxes, a small, triumphant smile on my face. "You okay?" he asked, sensing the shift in the air. "She called," I said. "She tried all of it. The guilt, the threats, the I was protecting you nonsense. And I told her about the letters." Elias's eyebrows shot up. How did she take that? She lost it, but I didn't. I stood up and walked over to him, looping my arms around his neck. I held my ground, Elias. For the first time in my life, I held my ground. He pulled me close, his hug fierce and warm. "I knew you would," he murmured into my hair. "This is just the beginning, Miranda. You're building a whole new life." "We are," I corrected him, feeling the truth of it settle into my bones. "We are." The next 2 weeks were a logistical whirlwind, but this wasn't just a move, it was an extraction. I called it my independence protocol. "First up," I announced to Elias, holding a checklist, "financial separation." On Monday morning, I walked into a new bank, one with no branches anywhere near Stratton. I sat down with a young, efficient-looking banker. "I'd like to open a new checking and savings account," I said, "and I'd like to set up alerts for any and all activity, with two-factor authentication tied exclusively to my cell phone and this new email address." "Of course, Ms. Caldwell," he said. "And," I added, "I need to ensure that no one, under any circumstances, can be added to this account or be given information about it, not even my parents." The banker didn't even blink. "We take client privacy very seriously. Without your express, in-person consent, no one will access this. It will be completely firewalled." I transferred my entire savings, every penny I had earned from my writing, out of the joint account I'd stupidly shared with my mother for emergencies. I watched the balance drain from the old account on my phone app and a new, healthy balance appear in the new one. It felt like severing an umbilical cord. Next stop, the cell phone provider. "I need to be removed from my family plan," I told the sales rep. "Sure thing. The primary account holder and Evelyn Caldwell will just need to authorize that." "No," I said, my stomach tightening. "That's not an option. I need a new plan and a new number, starting today. I want to port my old number over, but I understand that requires her permission, so I'll just take a new one." "You'll lose your number?" Elias asked, surprised. "She'll use it," I said, my voice low. "She'll use it to track me. She'll use it to prove I'm unstable. A new number, a clean break." I walked out with a new SIM card and a new number that only Elias and a handful of trusted friends would have. The list went on. I changed the title on my car, which had been a gift from my parents, into my name only, paying the outstanding loan balance in full from my new account. I signed the lease on my Providence apartment, a small, bright one-bedroom in a secure building near the Herald-Dispatch office. I set up new utilities, new insurance, new renters policies. Each form I signed, each call I made, was another brick in the wall I was building between my past and my future. This feels intense, Elias said, watching me shred a mountain of old co-signed documents. It has to be, I said, not looking up from the shredder. Dr. Knight was right. Evelyn won't just let me go. She will use any foothold I leave, any shared account, any co-signed lease, any bill. She will use it as a weapon to maintain control. The scholarship file? I didn't just pack it. I scanned every single page, uploaded the scans to a new encrypted cloud storage account, and then emailed a password-protected copy to my private new email address. The physical file I placed in a fireproof lockbox that I would carry with me in the car. "You're not paranoid," Elias said, watching me. "You're prepared." "She taught me to be thorough," I said, a grim smile touching my lips. She just never expected me to use those skills against her. By the end of the 2 weeks, my Brattleboro apartment was empty. My old life was sorted, shredded, or packed. I was no longer financially, digitally, or logistically entangled with Evelyn Caldwell. "It's done," I whispered, standing in the empty living room. "It's done," Elias confirmed. "Now let's go start our life." We were loading the last few boxes into Elias's car when a familiar gray sedan pulled into the parking lot. My father. My stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to him since Christmas. Miranda. He got out of the car, looking older and more tired than I'd ever seen him. His eyes darted from my face to the car, to the empty apartment visible through the open door. "So it's true. You're really leaving." "I am," I said. I didn't move toward him. I didn't offer a hug. I stood my ground. "My new job starts Monday." "Honey," he said, wringing his hands, "you can't do this. Your mother, she's beside herself." "I'm sure she is," I said, my voice flat. "She's not used to not getting her way." "This isn't about getting her way. This is about our family. You've broken her heart, Miranda." There it was, the guilt. He was her emissary. She broke her own heart, Dad. She gave me an ultimatum. She told me I was dead to her. I'm just respecting her wishes. "You know she didn't mean it like that," he pleaded, taking a step closer. She's worried. She loves you." "She loves control," I shot back, "and I'm done being controlled." My father sighed, a deep rattling sound of defeat. He seemed to shrink. She wants you to come home to apologize. We can fix this. Just call her, just tell her you'll reconsider." "Apologize." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Apologize for what? For getting a promotion? For building a career? For not being Charlotte?" His face flinched. "That's not fair." "It's not. None of this is fair." I picked up the last box, the lockbox with the folder, and held it protectively. "I'm leaving, Dad. I have a life waiting for me in Providence." He saw the resolve in my face. He knew he'd failed his mission. And then his expression shifted to something darker, fearful. "Miranda, just be careful," he whispered. "Careful of what?" "Your mother, she's been making calls." A cold spike of dread. "What calls?" To your aunt, to our friends, to Pastor Stevens." He wouldn't meet my eyes. She's telling them you're not well, that you're having some kind of mental breakdown, that this Elias is a bad influence, that the job isn't real." The box in my arm suddenly felt 10 times heavier. Dr. Knight's voice, a smear campaign. "She's trying to discredit me," I whispered, the tactical brilliance of it hitting me. "If I'm unstable, then no one will believe me. If I'm crazy, then she's just a concerned mother. All of this, my leaving, it's not an adult decision, it's a symptom." She's lashing out," he said weakly. "She's hurt." "She's not hurt, Dad. She's strategic, and you're her soldier." I brushed past him and put the box in the car. "You should go. I have nothing else to say." He just stood there, a portrait of weak, agonizing indecision. Miranda. "Goodbye, Dad." He watched as Elias shut the trunk. He got back in his sedan and without another word drove away. My hands were shaking. She's telling people I'm crazy. It's a classic move, Elias said, his face grim. Isolate, discredit, control. It won't work, I said, more to myself than to him. It's not going to work. We got in the car. My phone, my new phone, buzzed. A number I didn't recognize, but the area code was for Stratton. I answered, my heart pounding. Hello? Miranda? The voice was hushed, frantic. It was Charlotte. Charlotte? How did you get this number? Elias, I guessed he'd be with you. I got it from his website contact page. Listen, I don't have long. I put the phone on speaker. Elias looked at me, his expression wary. What do you want, Charlotte? You really did it. You left. Dad just got home. She's apocalyptic, Miranda. I've never seen her like this. She'll get over it, I said coldly. No, you don't understand. Her voice dropped even lower. She was in your father's study. She was on the phone with someone. A PI, I think. She knows you took that file. My blood ran cold. The lockbox was at my feet. What file? The scholarship, the letters. She was screaming about it. She said you stole her private property and wouldn't get away with it. My God, she wasn't just lashing out. She was counterattacking. Miranda, Charlotte rushed on. Dad told her he went to see you. She knows you're leaving today. She's flying to Providence. Tomorrow. What? Why? I don't know. She just kept saying she had to fix it, that she had to handle this before you ruined everything. Miranda, she's not just coming to talk. She's coming to fix it. Charlotte, why are you telling me this? I asked, my suspicion high. Was this a trap? I don't know. Her voice cracked, the first genuine emotion I'd heard from her in years. She told Marshall's parents that you were in a facility. She's lying to everyone. It's too much. There was a sound in the background, a door opening. I have to go, Charlotte whispered, and the line went dead. I stared at the phone, an unexpected ally, or a very, very clever trap. She's coming, I said to Elias, and she knows about the file. Then we'd better get to Providence, he said, putting the car in gear, and we'd better be ready. The first month at the Herald-Dispatch was a breath of fresh, sane air. My office was small, but it was mine. My boss, Frederick Wyatt, was a tough, old-school newsman who cared about one thing, the story. He respected my ideas. My team was sharp, hungry, and they treated me like a leader. I was building a life. I was good at my job. I was happy. Elias and I had found a rhythm. He was building his New England portfolio, and we were exploring Providence one clam cake and cobblestone street at a time. The dread that had lived in my stomach for 31 years had finally started to recede. I was in a budget meeting with Frederick when my new desk phone buzzed. It was Sandra, the receptionist. "Morgan," she said, her voice unusually tight, "there's a woman in the lobby. She says she's your mother. She's quite insistent. She says it's a family emergency." The blood drained from my face. "She's here." Frederick looked up. "Caldwell, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." It's my mother," I said, my voice barely a whisper. I took a deep breath. Preparation creates power. Gray rock. "Frederick," I said, my voice suddenly clear and professional, "I need to apologize in advance. My mother is difficult. There is no emergency. This is a personal issue, and she is attempting to bring it into my workplace. I am going to handle it. I just wanted you to know." Frederick's eyebrows rose. He'd been a journalist for 40 years. He'd seen everything. "Need security?" "Hopefully not, but I'd appreciate you having my back if it escalates." "Go," he said, nodding. "Handle your business." I walked out of his office and through the newsroom. The familiar clatter of keyboards and ringing phones seemed to fade. I could feel my colleagues' eyes on me. I smoothed my blazer, a sharp emerald green one I'd bought myself. I felt like a soldier walking into battle. I pushed through the glass doors to the lobby, and there she was, Evelyn Caldwell, standing at the reception desk like she owned the building. She was dressed in a pristine camel hair coat, pearls at her ears, her face a perfect mask of maternal terror. "I demand to see my daughter," she was saying to Sandra. "She is not well. I am her mother." "Evelyn," I said. Her head snapped toward me. The mask of terror instantly transformed into one of furious relief. "Miranda! Oh, thank God!" She rushed toward me, arms outstretched. I stood my ground. I didn't move an inch. She stopped, her arms dropping awkwardly. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice low and cold. "What am I—" "Miranda, I'm here to save you," she whispered dramatically, gesturing at the lobby around us. This place. Your father and I are sick with worry. You haven't been answering our calls." "I have a new number," I said, "and I'm at work." "This isn't work, darling. This is a cry for help. I'm here to take you home. We can get you the help you need." She was doing it. Right here. The unstable narrative. "I don't need help, Evelyn. I need you to leave my office." "Your office?" She let out a small, tinkling laugh. Two reporters waiting for an interview looked up, interested. Sandra was pretending to type, but she was listening to every word. "Miranda, stop this. This ridiculous little phase is over. You've made your point. Now be a good girl, get your things, and come home. We'll tell everyone you took a sabbatical." "I am not going anywhere." My voice was still low, but it was shaking with rage. "You are embarrassing me, and you are embarrassing yourself. You need to leave now." "Embarrassing?" Her voice rose, sharp and piercing. "You want to talk about embarrassing? How about abandoning your family on Christmas? How about running off with that boy? How about pretending to have this important job?" "Ma'am," Sandra said, standing up, "I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice." Evelyn turned on her. "You will be silent. My daughter is having a mental breakdown. She is unstable. She needs her family." This was it, the smear campaign, live and in person. "Mother," I said, my voice cutting through hers. It was loud, louder than I intended. The entire newsroom-adjacent lobby went silent. "I am not unstable," I said, my voice now clear and carrying. "I was promoted. This is my job. These are my colleagues. And you are a guest in this building. You are not welcome here. I am asking you, as a professional, to leave." Her face, for the first time, flooded with crimson. I had humiliated her. "You ungrateful child," she hissed, "after everything. I taught you better. I taught you that family comes first." "You taught me that control comes first," I shot back, "and you've lost it." "Ma'am," a new firm voice said. The building's security guard, a large man named Marcus, had appeared. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises. Now." Evelyn looked at him, utterly aghast. "Do you know who I am? You can't. I am Evelyn Caldwell." "And I'm the guy escorting you out," Marcus said, unimpressed. He gestured to the door. Evelyn looked back at me, her eyes pure poison. You will regret this, Miranda. You have no idea what you've just done." "This isn't over." "Yes," I said, "it is." Marcus gently but firmly guided her by the elbow toward the revolving door. She didn't fight, but her back was ramrod straight, radiating pure, undiluted fury. The lobby was silent as the door revolved, spitting her out onto the sidewalk. I stood there, shaking, breathing hard. Sandra was staring at me, her mouth open. Frederick Wyatt appeared at my side. He'd been watching through the newsroom doors. He clapped me on the shoulder. "Caldwell," he said, his voice gruff. "That was something." "I'm so sorry, Frederick," I whispered, my adrenaline crashing. "Don't be," he said. You handled that with more class than she deserved. Now, take a breath. Go get a coffee. Your team can wait." I nodded, unable to speak. I turned and walked, not to the break room, but to the women's restroom. I locked myself in a stall and leaned against the wall, my legs feeling like jelly. The lobby scene. Charlotte's warning. She's coming to fix it. A cold, sudden realization hit me. This wasn't the attack. This was the diversion. I burst out of the stall, fumbling for my phone. I dialed Elias. "Miranda, what's up? I just saw a woman who looked exactly like your mother storm out of your building." "Elias," I said, my voice tight with panic. "Go to the apartment. Go now." "What? Why? I'm halfway across town." The scene here, it was a distraction. Charlotte warned me. She's here to fix it. She knows about the file. Oh my God, Elias, she's at the apartment. Just go. "I'm on my way," he said, and the line went dead. I splashed cold water on my face, my reflection staring back at me, pale and terrified. She wouldn't, she couldn't, but I knew she could, and I knew she would. The 15-minute cab ride to my apartment was the longest of my life. I called Elias 3 times. No answer. He was driving. My mind raced. The lobby scene wasn't an extinction burst. It was a calculated military maneuver. She'd created a public spectacle, knowing it would pin me down at my office, knowing it would establish her unstable daughter narrative, all while she executed her real objective. The cab screeched to a halt. I threw cash at the driver and sprinted to the entrance of my building. Elias's car was parked haphazardly at the curb. I ran up the 2 flights of stairs, my heart pounding in my ears. My apartment door was ajar. "Elias?" I pushed it open. He was standing in the middle of my small living room, his face pale. The room wasn't ransacked. That wasn't her style, but it had been searched, methodically. My desk drawers were open. The cushions on my sofa were slightly askew. The closet door was ajar. "Elias, are you okay?" "I'm fine," he said, his voice hollow. I got here maybe 5 minutes ago. The lock it's been picked, or jimmied. Look." He pointed at the deadbolt. There were deep scratches in the metal, the work of a professional, not a brute. "Where is it?" I whispered, already knowing the answer. I walked to my desk. The fireproof lockbox I kept hidden under a stack of printer paper was gone. No. Wait. I looked in my closet, behind my hanging clothes. It was there. The lockbox was still there. A wave of relief washed over me, so potent it made me weak. "It's here. She didn't find it." I pulled the heavy box out, my hands shaking. I put it on the desk. I fumbled with the key. "Miranda," Elias said, his voice gentle. I opened it. The lockbox was empty. I stared at the gray, fireproof interior. Empty. My folders of bank statements were there. My passport was there. But the one thing that mattered, the manila folder with the scholarship letters, was gone. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." I dumped the box's contents onto the desk. Maybe it was stuck. Maybe it was gone. "She took it," I said, my voice dead. She hired someone. While she was screaming at me in the lobby, someone was here, picking my lock, stealing my proof. I sank onto the chair. The one piece of concrete evidence, the one smoking gun that proved I wasn't just a dramatic daughter, the one thing that proved her malice, gone. We have to call the police," Elias said, pulling out his phone. "And tell them what?" I laughed, a sharp, hysterical sound. "Tell them my mother, who just accused me of being mentally unstable in front of my new boss, broke into my apartment and stole some old letters. They'll think I am crazy. It's a family dispute. They won't do anything." "So, what do we do?" Elias asked, his hands clenched into fists. "We just let her win?" She did win," I whispered. I felt hollowed out. All my planning, my firewalls, my new number, it was all useless. She had outmaneuvered me at every turn. I looked around the violated room. The independence protocol felt like a child's game. I had been playing checkers while she was playing three-dimensional chess. She knew I'd hide it, I said, my mind piecing it together. She knew I'd have it, Charlotte's call. It wasn't a warning. It was a probe to confirm I had it, to make me check on it. Oh my God. Miranda, don't spiral. I'm not spiraling, I'm thinking. The shock was fading, and in its place, something else was rising. The same cold, clarifying rage I'd felt in the archive. She had stolen my evidence. She had tried to destroy my reputation. She had violated my home. She thought this was over. She thought that by taking that file, she had taken my power. I stood up. My hands were steady now. She doesn't have the file, Elias, I said, my voice low. What, Miranda? It's gone. The physical file is gone. A slow, cold smile spread across my face. She's a fantastic strategist, but she's from a different generation. She thinks in paper. She doesn't think in data. I walked to my laptop and opened it. I logged into my encrypted cloud drive. I pulled up the folder. Scholarship, sabotage.pdf, every letter, every signature, every damning word, all scanned, all safe. She just confirmed everything, I said. She proved how dangerous she is. She proved what she's willing to do, and she just lost her only leverage. What do you mean? She thinks she has the only copy. She thinks I'm disarmed. I closed the laptop. She's probably at her hotel right now feeling smug, feeling like she's won. I picked up my phone. I found the number for the grandest, most expensive hotel in Providence. What are you doing? Elias asked. I'm calling her hotel, I said. I'm scheduling a meeting. She wants to fix this. Fine, we're going to fix it. My way. The hotel lobby was a cathedral of beige marble and hushed, expensive silence. I arrived 10 minutes early and chose my ground. 2 armchairs in a secluded corner, my back to a wall with a clear view of the entrance. Public, but private. I was calm. The adrenaline from the break-in had sharpened into a diamond-hard focus. I had nothing left to lose. My smoking gun was digital and untouchable. The physical file she'd stolen was now nothing but a trophy, a testament to her own criminality. Elias was at a cafe across the street, a one-man cavalry on standby. But this was my fight. At exactly 10:00 a.m., Evelyn Caldwell swept through the revolving doors. She wore a cream-colored cashmere suit, her armor of affluent superiority. But I saw the cracks. Her smile was just a little too tight. Her eyes scanned the lobby with a flicker of anxiety before they landed on me. She composed her face into a mask of maternal concern and glided over. "Miranda," she said, her voice a soft, pitying coo. She sat opposite me, placing her designer handbag on the table between us. "I am so glad you called. I was worried that, after yesterday, you wouldn't." "Yesterday was informative," I said, my voice even. I didn't offer her coffee. I didn't ask how her flight was. "You made your point." I was upset," she said, attempting a look of regret. "To see you in that place, to see what you've become. It broke my heart. And then to find out you'd been keeping those old misleading letters. You'd twisted them into something ugly. You broke into my apartment." Her eyes flashed, the regret vanishing. "I did what I had to do. You were obsessed. You were building a fantasy. I removed the temptation. For your own good." "My own good," I repeated, the words tasting like ash. "Like the scholarship. That was for my own good, too." "It was," she insisted. "You're seeing that, finally. I've always protected you, and I'm here to protect you now. This Providence experiment is over. You'll come home. We'll get you into a quiet marketing job, something in Stratton. No one has to know about any of this." I almost laughed. "You have it all planned out." "I always have." She leaned forward, her voice dropping. Miranda, I know you're angry, but you have no idea the world you're playing in. You have no power here. I do. And what power is that, Evelyn? She smiled, a thin, triumphant crescent. I'm on the board of advisors for the Milner Foundation. My blood ran cold. The Milner Foundation. They were one of the biggest journalistic grant providers in New England. They funded investigative work. They funded the Herald-Dispatch. Caroline Milner and I, Evelyn continued, we were at Vassar together. We are very, very close. She knows all about my family difficulties. She knows all about my troubled daughter. This was it, the checkmate. One word from me, Miranda, she whispered, and Caroline will pull the foundation's funding, not just from your little paper. From any paper that would ever hire you, your smear campaign. As your father so crudely put it, I was just getting started, but it doesn't have to be this way. She sat back, the picture of magnanimity. Come home. Delete that ridiculous folder from your computer. Apologize to the family, and I will make all of this go away. Your career will be saved. I will save it. I stared at her. The sheer, breathtaking arrogance of it. The meticulous, multi-layered attack. The smear campaign. The break-in. And now, the career-ending threat. I was supposed to be broken. I was supposed to be terrified. I was supposed to crawl back, defeated, and beg for her mercy. I let the silence stretch. I watched her smug, confident smile. And then I smiled back. Caroline Milner, I said, my voice conversational, is a fascinating woman. Evelyn's smile wavered. What? What did you say? Caroline, she's tough. She prefers Caroline, not Mrs. Milner. And she hates Vassar. She says it was a finishing school for delicate narwhals. Her words, not mine. Evelyn's face went blank. You don't know Caroline Milner. Oh, but I do, I said. I had coffee with her last week, at her request. She'd read my investigative series, the one you called Quaint. She's a major supporter of deep-dive local journalism. She's actually considering funding a new regional investigative team, and she wants me to draft the proposal. I leaned forward, mirroring her. And you know what's funny? We got to talking about family. You see, Caroline's mother was also difficult, also a master of protecting her daughter from opportunities. We bonded over it. Evelyn's face was white. I told her, I continued, that I was anticipating some complex family dynamics in the wake of my move. I told her my mother was resourceful. I didn't even have to use your name. She knew the type immediately. Your concerns about my stability? I shook my head. She's already heard my side, Evelyn, and she's seen my work. Your threat is empty. You call her, you'll just prove my point. You'll destroy your own reputation, not mine. Evelyn opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She was, for the first time in my life, utterly speechless. She had played her queen, and I had just revealed it was a pawn. You lied to me, she finally stammered. No, I said. You underestimated me. You always have. As if on cue, her phone buzzed on the table. The screen lit up. Dominic. She snatched it, her hand shaking, and pressed the answer button. Dominic, not now. I'm busy. Evelyn. My father's voice came through, thin and reedy, but with a new, unfamiliar edge. I'm calling to inform you I've done it. Done what? She snapped. What are you talking about? The club, Evelyn. The Stratton Country Club. I've just canceled our membership, effective immediately. Evelyn's eyes widened, her face a mask of pure horror. You what? You can't. The fundraiser, my committee, our name is on the founder's plaque. I can, my father's voice said, and it was stronger. And I did. This has to stop, Evelyn. What you did to Miranda, breaking into her home, I can't be a part of it anymore. I just can't. You are a fool, Dominic, she shrieked, half rising from her chair. The lobby's hushed silence broke. A few people looked over. Maybe, my father said, but I'm not a criminal. I'm going to stay with my brother for a while. We need to talk. We need help. We do not need help. I do, he said, and the line went dead. Evelyn stared at her phone. Her entire world, her social standing, her public reputation, her obedient husband, and her problem daughter had just evaporated in the span of 3 minutes. She looked at me, her eyes hollow, the fury replaced by a cold, desolate panic. She had no moves left. The silence in the lobby returned, heavier this time. Evelyn slowly lowered her phone to the table. Her hand was shaking violently now. This is your fault, she whispered, the accusation rote, reflexive. You poisoned him. You poisoned everyone. No, I said, and my voice was surprisingly gentle. The rage was gone. All I felt was a vast, quiet emptiness. You did this. This is the consequence of your own actions. You built a house of cards, Evelyn. You finally pushed one too many people. He'll be back, she muttered, more to herself than to me. He always comes back. Maybe, I said, but I won't. I stood up. I'd come here prepared for a war. I'd expected to use my digital folder as a nuclear option, but I hadn't needed it. Her own system had collapsed under the weight of her hubris. My father, the weakest link, had finally broken. What? What now? She asked, and for the first time she sounded small. Now I go back to work, I said. I go back to my life, the one I built. I looked down at the woman who had dominated my entire existence. She was no longer a giant, she was just a woman. A sad, terrified woman in an expensive suit, sitting alone in a hotel lobby. I'm not dead to you, Evelyn, I said, and you're not dead to me. But the relationship we had? That is dead, and it's never coming back. Miranda, wait. I'll consider contact on one condition, I said. A new relationship, one between equals, one between two adults. No manipulation, no threats, no guidance, no control. You treat me with respect, as a separate person, or you don't have me in your life at all. She stared at me, her mind clearly unable to process the terms. A relationship without control? To her, it was a foreign language. That's not a relationship, she stammered. It's the only one I'm offering, I said. The ball is in your court, Evelyn. When or if you're ready to be an actual mother instead of a dictator, you know how to find me. Or I guess you don't. A small, genuine smile touched my lips. You can write me a letter. At the Herald Dispatch. I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. I didn't wait for her reply. I walked through the marble lobby, past the silent, wealthy guests, and pushed through the revolving doors. The Providence air hit my face. It was cold and bright, smelling of salt from the nearby harbor. I took a deep, shuddering breath. It felt like the first real breath of my life. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from Elias. Everything okay? I looked up at the blue, endless sky. I saw him across the street, a silhouette in the cafe window, watching, waiting. I typed back a single word, free, and I started walking toward him. 6 months later, I stood in the bustling Herald Dispatch newsroom, a fresh cup of coffee in my hand, my feet up on my new, slightly larger desk. The glass panel on my door didn't say Features Editor anymore. It said, Senior Editor, Investigations. Frederick Wyatt had been true to his word. My proposal for the new regional investigative team, funded by a very generous grant from the Milner Foundation, had been approved. My team had just broken a story on municipal corruption that had led to 3 indictments. "Caldwell," Frederick barked from his office. "You're not paid to admire the view." "Actually, I'm paid to think," I barked back. "And I'm thinking my team deserves a raise." He just grumbled and disappeared back into his office, but I saw him smile. My life was good. It was real. Elias and I had moved into a bigger apartment, one with bright, wide windows overlooking the water. Our walls were covered with his photographs and my framed articles, a mosaic of our shared life, not a gallery of ancestral portraits. We had friends, a circle we'd built ourselves, made of artists, writers, and chefs, people who talked about ideas, not inheritances. I'd even started to sleep through the night. I hadn't heard from Evelyn, but I had heard from my father. He was in therapy. He was still living with his brother. His calls were tentative, awkward, but he was trying. He asked about my work. He told me he was proud of me. Each word felt like a small, precious brick, rebuilding a bridge I thought was ashes. Charlotte called sometimes too. Her voice was less brittle, more human. Her wedding to Marshall, the Harvard man, had been indefinitely postponed. She was, in her own words, reevaluating. Then a year after that fateful Christmas, a letter arrived at my office. The handwriting was perfect, sharp, and instantly recognizable. My heart didn't pound. My hands didn't shake. I just opened it. It was 3 pages. She wrote that she had started seeing a therapist, a specialist. "He's helping me to see patterns I was unaware of," she wrote. My own mother. The pressure I felt. I replicated it. "I thought I was making you strong. I see now I was just making you afraid." She acknowledged the scholarship. She acknowledged the constant corrosive comparisons to Charlotte. She didn't make excuses. She just stated the facts. The last line wasn't an apology. Not really. But it was something more. "You were right to leave. A part of me is proud of the woman you've become, the one who was strong enough to walk away from me." I sat with that letter for a long time. 2 weeks later, I sent her an email. I offered a 30-minute video call. When her face appeared on my screen, she looked smaller. She was perfectly dressed, her hair perfect, but there was a softness in her eyes I'd never seen. "Miranda," she said. "Evelyn," I replied. We talked. It was stilted. It was strange. She asked about my work. She started to offer an opinion on the Herald Dispatch's new font, then stopped herself. That's not my place, is it?" she said. "No," I said, not unkindly. "It's not." "Right." She nodded. "Well, it's good to see you, Miranda. You look, well, I am, Evelyn. I really am." We ended the call. It wasn't fixed. It wasn't perfect. But it was a start. A foundation built on new, solid ground. My ground. That night, Elias and I walked along the harbor, the lights of the city glittering on the water. "So," he said, squeezing my hand, "big day." "It was a day," I said, leaning my head on his shoulder. "Just a day." My life was no longer a series of battles and defenses. It was just my life, unscripted, uncontrolled, and for the first time, completely, terrifyingly, and wonderfully my own. If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.